Nas' early Coinbase investment could reportedly net him $100 million.
Queens kid. Queens
Right?
kid.
And that was early on. That was before Coinbase went public, right? And they were assuming that it would open up at 250. I think it opened up around 300 and something. So we're looking at the high 100 millions, almost to 200 million, that Nas just woke up to. And another surprising investor was Kevin Durant. He invested in 2017 in Coinbase, and he's getting a couple of million as well, which is crazy. Crazy. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this, for one, everybody's talking about it, right? Coinbase, for those people who don't know what Coinbase is, it is a platform that you literally can buy crypto from, right? Everything from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Litecoin, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And everybody is starting to get familiar with it, not only because some of the thought leaders that we have has been talking about crypto and has invested in crypto and things like that. Everything from Mark Cuban to Elon Musk to clearly Nas, Jim Jones. Like, there's still a lot of people that Kevin Durant, people that we look at as being gurus and top of their lane, now getting into a whole new just new currency, right? But we're not going to go too much into what crypto is and all that great stuff. I really want to break down how dope Nas is as an investor.
Yeah.
Like, I think people sleep on Nas. Clearly not from a rapper standpoint, but from a businessman standpoint. He's not a big talker in the public, but there's certain things that he's done, and I'm about to show you that you didn't think he was involved with. Like, I found out, let me put this up real quick. I found out he was part of Dropbox very early. That was like one of his very first ones, right? I'm like, Dropbox, what? I use that every day. Are you serious? This is crazy, right? Genius makes sense. Genius does make sense. But like, you got Ring, which it was like rumbles that he made a lot of money in Ring when that got sold, right? Lyft, huge. Pluto TV, SeatGeek, just some of the stuff for all our audio listeners. We have it up on YouTube, just some of the investments that he's done with his Queensbridge venture partnership. Oh, partners. I can't even talk. What is wrong with me? I can't talk. But Moose, how you feeling about this Queens guy making a whole bunch of money, investing in a whole bunch of money, and is really in this tech world, as well as just a really serious investor that doesn't get enough props?
Yeah, this is I mean, the first thing, definitely, like you said, Queen's kid, right? Like that's so dope. Like, we talk a lot about people when they do something, they serve as an example for people of that demographic or that generation. You're talking about somebody who literally is from the pretty much the same borough or very same neighborhood that we grew up in, that I still drive by towards this day. Like, you know, that definitely gives you a different type of feel or connection to what's possible. And I definitely think that's a starting point to everything. It's like, man, the idea of just envisioning for yourself, like, you too can do this. The second part that I think is just as important is, of course, the concept of being an early adapter. Right? Like that is so big. Like, we look at some of these companies right now and you think like, oh man, like I missed out on my shot. I missed out on Apple. I missed out on Google. I missed out on, all of these different companies. But there's still stuff happening today that if you were to just devote yourself, develop the discipline to read a little bit, do a little research, really just kind of continue to make your connections to figure out where is the marketplace shifting, what are the trends, what are the gaps, and what are some of the people who are positioning themselves as potential solutions to these things, you can be one of those early investors in the next Apple or Google. So when I look at a Nas right now and the way he's moving, again, similar example, one part of his career finished, which is the music. And I wouldn't say finished because I think there's talks of him putting out an album with Khaled. I don't know if did it come out already or what? Or did I mess that up?
I think he's still on his Grammy win. I think he's still on his Grammy win over here.
Fair enough. But my point is, let's just say he's not as dedicated to the music as he once was, at least from what it appears to be. He's now putting out albums regularly.
Don't need to when you're making $100 million.
Hey, I ain't mad at him.
What?
I ain't mad at him, for real. I ain't mad at him.
Would stop rap. I would not rap no more. I gotta think.
Unless it's a true passion. So I ain't mad at it.
I need to get to that part. When I tell you, I need to get. Hold on. I need to get to that part.
Optional.
Just me and the options, right? I want the option to do this. I want the option to do that. My man woke up and was like, "Oh man, Coinbase went public. Oh, that's 100 mil right there. Oh, that's okay. All right, I got it."
And the key thing here is an extra 100 mil. Not to mention. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the stuff beforehand. So, it's an extra. I got an extra 100 today. Yeah.
Facts.
That's cool.
Facts. Hold on. Let's look at some of this stuff again. Okay, we got Pluto TV. I'm gonna read it for our audio people, right? Pluto TV acquired by Viacom for $34 million. PillPack acquired by Amazon. 340. What did I say?
34. That's okay.
My bad. $340 million. This is why I have him, okay? Because I'm not all there. But PillPack acquired by Amazon for $1 billion. Ring acquired by Amazon. Amazon got a lot of money. All right. Let's put this.
2 acquisitions at $1 billion.
Right. Amazon for another $1 billion. Dropbox market cap at $9.3 billion. Genius valued at $1 billion. Lyft valued at $23 billion. SeatGeek valued at $1 billion, right? He's also has, and you'll see in the clip too, he's done like Casper, and there's a whole bunch of things that he's involved with. And I'm like, oh yeah, you good. And I know you have restaurants back home.
Yeah.
Was it Sweet Pea or something like that? I forgot what it's called, but he has restaurants as well. He had Bezel. Bezel was really huge. He just has a lot of stuff that
it's dope.
The fact that he did come back with an album, right? Because he's been investing since like 2013 or something like that with Queensbridge Ventures, right? So the fact that he still came out with music and won a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
it's dope.
Let's get into what would get him to invest. Let's talk about that.
Something about it has to make me think that this can be really impactful. If I'm recording, say, with a Dr. Dre or something, I know there's some impact in that. So I look at investments sort of the same way, but there's some things out there that are just getting started that I believe in. And I look at it and I give it a shot.
So simple. So simple. And I did look at what they offer these like startups, and they say from like $100K to $500K is what they would give one of these startups. I'm
Wow.
like,
That's crazy.
okay, so there is like, depending how dope you are, you either get this or this. You don't get the million, you don't get to like, you get this or this, right? I think that's really like that makes you think. I don't know if that makes you think. That makes me think. Makes me think like, okay, if I get, first off, I have to find a really, really dope thing that's going to give me just like 100, 300, 500K off of just like one night kind of thing. Like how they do with the clubs and everything. They walk out with like 10K, 80K,
Right.
and that all equals
Right.
up after a while. Let me do that for a week. I could have a good amount, right? Why don't we come up with our own little venture thing, right?
Mm.
See, because all we saw was we start here, we start with this amount, and then you could get the highest of 500K. So that's with somebody who has a whole guap of money, right? But there's still startups that still need something to go, right? And so maybe we're like not Queensbridge, but we're like Elmhurst, East Elmhurst Ventures. Like,
Hey.
you know?
Yeah. I love it.
And
I
we
love
start
it.
off with this to that. Don't ask me what this and that is, because like I said, I gotta get more money, people.
Good
Gotta get
start.
more money,
It's a
people.
good start.
But he makes that look possible. He makes that like, okay, I made this amount of money from my one thing, right? And I'm dedicating to help startups by just giving this amount, you know? And at the end of the day, it has to be impactful. I have to see, like, nothing that I do doesn't impact, like, it just has to make sense with that. Not necessarily, and I love what he said about it, because it's not necessarily about money. But if
Yeah.
you can master the impact side, money is going to come.
100%. 100%. I think that's actually a good way to know whether or not you're on the right track. Like if you start off thinking about something, you're like, man, we're gonna make so much. It's like, just stop. It's like, they just know that you're in it for the wrong reason. You might as well pull back. Because I think now, and I'm sure you feel the same way, and many people who have, tuned into the show and the podcast throughout the year and really have just like watched what's happened around this whole period of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
With the stimulus bailouts, with NFTs, with the crypto, with the stock market, with real estate. Literally, there are so many vehicles or avenues to make ridiculous amounts of money that it's not so much, the question isn't so much about, man, is it even possible that I can have financial freedom or financial wealth? That's not the question anymore. It's about, where do I want to dedicate energy and time so that I can enjoy the fruits of the labor that come from behind it. So that's my point. Like, even just around money, it's like, really in 2021, with as much free game as that's been available on the internet, the question shouldn't be about money anymore. It really is, for those who are listening or watching, it's like, man, what is it for you that you would dedicate your time to? So when, not if, but when you make your
Talk
money,
about it.
you can enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, that's so huge. There's so much money out there. Like,
Huge.
so
Huge.
much.
Yo,
And
and that's crazy. Let me just tell you real quick and shout out to the flight assessment for this. We haven't talked about it in a bit, but just my air traffic control. I'm looking at the graph that you had up with all the different like numbers. Just on that graph alone, there's $36.7 billion. 36, and I'm just like, and what you're tripping on making an extra six figures? Do you think if you made an extra $250,000 that the economy's gonna feel it? Like, oh my God, somebody from Jackson Heights just took an extra $250,000 home. It really impacted the economy. It's nothing. It's nothing. It really makes you rethink like what's possible, what's money, and the importance of it. Just nearly 37 billion just on that chart alone for one person.